Hi and welcome to the MusicBox Chatters podcast with me, Tierney, hosting the show. So this month we'll be diving into the topic of anorexia. So if you're new here, well, hi. Myself and the girls are running our own company called Toybox, which is all about educating and breaking the stigmas on mental health and well-being. And as psychologists ourselves, we're quite passionate about these topics. And so we came up with the idea for creating our own podcast on the side. And each month we'll be talking about a new mental health topic. So definitely go check out our page on Instagram at toybox_UK to stay up to date. Let's start off with what anorexia is and what symptoms are there. So anorexia is also known as anorexia anova. People with anorexia generally restrict the number of calories and the types of food they eat, and this can affect people of all ages, genders, and sexual orientations and races. And apparently females are 3 times more likely to develop anorexia than males. So, to be diagnosed with anorexia, according to the DSM-5, the following criteria must be met. So, this is restriction of food intake leading to weight loss or a failure to gain weight, and experiencing a distraught view of themselves and their conditions, such as thinking they are overweight when they are actually underweight, or believing that they will gain weight from eating a single meal. So, there's actually subtypes of anorexia. This includes restriction types, which is associated with stereotypes views of anorexia. So the person does not regularly engage in binge eating. And we have binge eating or purging, which involves self-induced vomiting or the misuse of lactive products. So I'm going to highlight some important facts for you to take home if you didn't know already. And if you did, then well done to you. So a person who is struggling with anorexia looks underweight all the times. This is actually false because a person does not need to be underweight to be struggling. And studies have found that larger bodies individuals also have anorexia, although they are less likely to be diagnosed due to, cultural prejudices against fat and obesity. So another one is people affected by anorexia are not always happy to lose weight. So because no matter the weight they are at, people suffering from anorexia experience a distraught view of themselves and will fear that they are gaining weight even though they are losing weight. So now let's talk about some warning signs and symptoms to look out for. So there are emotional and behavioral signs such as developing food rituals, such as eating food in certain orders or excessive chewing, which shows inflexible thinking and has intense fear of weight gaining or being fat. There are also physical symptoms such as having dry skin, sleep problems, muscle weaknesses, and abnormal lab findings such as amnesia, low thyroid, and hormonal levels. So that was definitely a lot of information to take in, but hopefully you found this quite useful. So myself, Chloe, Arjun and Diva once again did a live Insta chat recently about the impact of marketing, advertising and social media on eating disorders. And I think in the Western culture, we are now seeing this plus size women and just women of all sorts of shapes and colors, which is really amazing to see. And if you shop on websites such as Boohoo, for example, you can see all sorts of women modeling. But if you're gonna compare it to a clothing site from another country, such as in Asia, for instance, you're probably more likely to see women with the same size, probably skinny or slim. So yeah, we had a really interesting chat about this. And if you enjoyed that, stay tuned for more on these debate style chats on our Instagram at toybox_UK. So I found a couple of blogs from the Mighty website and BuzzFeed News. So Tammy says, I was in a cycle of anorexia for many years and ended up in hospital being force-fed when I was 15. And sometimes I still have relapses. I am currently a stone or 2 overweight due to COVID weight gain and I'm trying to get back to my healthy weight. Yesterday my fiance and I were on a video call and we were doing long distance right now. And he came out with, you should eat a diet, your neck is bigger than mine. And in my head, I went straight back to being the sick girl who had no control over her eating disorder. Someone else called Meg says that her story began at the age of 4 and I was extremely underweight for my weight and age. However, my grandma told me my arms are like ham and was getting chubby, and I felt my entire childhood surrounded by weight stigma, whether it was from my grandmother consistently telling me to go on a diet or comparing my own body to my friends. So yeah, I just think that reading from these stories, from Tammy's and Meg's stories, there's a common theme, and the idea is that living in an environment where your body is consistently being picked on is just so unhealthy, and saying things like your arms are chubby or you need to go on a diet or you need to eat more is literally inducing shame. And instead you should be asking them things like, how are you? Or I know it's difficult, but I'm really proud of you. Or it's okay to take a rest today. Or just a simple, I believe in you. So the girls and I came across some Instagram accounts, so you can go and check out Achieving Recoverers, and they do an amazing job with illustrating the importance of body types and just encouraging people to feel more comfortable in their own skin. There's also a couple of Facebook groups to help with recovery and just providing a community. So check out Eating Disorder Support, EDS. So there's also a documentary that I watched recently. I'm honestly always watching documentaries, especially the ones by Daisy Dooley. She does an amazing job capturing literally everything. She's an amazing interviewer in my opinion. But yeah, check out on BBC iPlayer an episode called On the Psych Ward, and you'll see Stacey talking to a number of young people who are suffering with eating disorders, and some are suffering from really extreme disorders, whilst others are in the recovery position. So yeah, it's definitely interesting documentary to check out and really insightful, so definitely have a watch. And that is it for me. Feel free to reach out to us if you're struggling or know anyone who is, and we'll be really happy to signpost you to see who will help. So on a lighter note, we decided to make a playlist with tunes around mental health, and we'll be adding into the playlist each month, so definitely go and check that out. And there'll be songs like A Scars to Your Beautiful, which we did a reel on Instagram, and yeah, honestly it's been doing well. So anyways, thank you for tuning in with me. I'll definitely be back next month with episode 5 with a new topic. And in the meantime, go follow us at toybox_UK for the latest.